that they gave me a raw deal because this industry is a monster. It's the same monster that these Me Too trying to tell you about. But they hate the monster for how it, and I hate that monster for how it eats. But my God, man, it's the same monster. When I quit the show, all my friends would say, well, look them, Dave, why don't you just do Chappelle's show at another network? Yeah. And why doesn't a slave run from one plantation to another plantation? Because the master over there might be nicer. My God, man, I was trapped. You know what? Tell you the truth. I've even thought about coming back and doing another Chappelle show. Well, but if
Elon Musk and 50 Cent just unleashed a truth bomb that's shaken every corner of the industry. But here's the wild twist. Diddy isn't the real boss. He's the decoy. If you've been thinking he's the one pulling all the strings, you've been chasing the wrong lead. This time, it's not just another online rumor. Elon's sitting on something heavy. We're talking data, receipts, and years of private DMs from the Twitter days that could flip the whole story upside down overnight. Now that everything's happening on X, people are treating this like a secret map. The bottom level, Jay-Z and Beyonce. The middle level, the so-called gatekeepers, Oprah and Clive Davis. And at the very top, there's supposedly one name connecting it all, someone hiding right in plain sight. It's not just about music studios or boardroom deals anymore. It's about control, image, and even spiritual influence. 50's been dropping hints about that deeper layer for months now, and it's finally starting to click. So yeah, get ready for a ride because this goes way deeper than celebrity gossip. But before we climb higher, let's make one thing clear. This whole Diddy situation is bigger than hip-hop. And no, this isn't a life story rundown. It's about exactly what you came here for. 50 Cent just dropped his explosive Diddy documentary, The Reckoning, and he framed it in a way nobody else dared to. His message, straightforward and fearless. Silence makes the whole culture look guilty, and 50 wasn't about to play along, so he stepped right into the storm, and that's when things took a darker turn. One of the biggest claims floating around right now is that Diddy allegedly had his mansion wired up with hidden cameras everywhere, hundreds of them. They supposedly recorded everything that went down during those wild after-hours parties. Commentators like Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal have been saying it wasn't about fun at all. It was about power. They describe it as insurance footage, like blackmail material meant to keep people quiet and loyal without a single threat ever being spoken. And now the latest rumor says those tapes are being secretly passed around, with some major names absolutely losing sleep over it. It's got the whole game on edge. But here's where Elon Musk flips the table, because he owns X now. That means he's sitting on a platform full of private messages, old conversations, and unseen data between celebrities, politicians, and elite insiders. That's a level of access that can shift the balance overnight. When Elon sat down with Joe Rogan, he didn't just play coy. He called out the double lives. He talked about how some people preach one thing in public, but act completely different behind closed doors. Then he brought up Jennifer Lopez, not for politics, but for credibility test. If she was that close back then, where was the warning? Where was the alarm? His point hit hard, and it left everyone asking one chilling question. If someone was that close and never spoke up, what does that really mean? Either they truly had no clue, which a lot of people find hard to believe, or they knew something and chose silence. And if they stayed quiet, the next question hits like a hammer. Why? Was it fear, loyalty, image control, or maybe protection? Protection of who exactly? Things start looking real different when you ask that out loud. Now, let's climb to level 1, the Jay-Z and Beyonce tier. You might think that's just the starting point, but trust, it's only the beginning. Jaguar Wright sat down for an interview with Pine Morgan and dropped claims she was never supposed to speak on. She talked about the hidden ties between Jay-Z, Diddy, and the power web running underneath the surface, and it shocked everyone.
It's like the Diddy thing was like an Epstein type compromise deal where he had, whether he was doing it himself, conceivably, people want to think that he's attached to some intelligence agency or something like that. I think he's a gangster who made $1 billion and knew how to control people by compromising them. That's what I think. Whether or not he had help, I don't know. Whether or not he shared some of that information with people so they knew they had compromising stuff on people, I don't know. But clearly he was doing it for his own jollies too. There was something sick about it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that people in the music and entertainment industry had to know that Diddy was like abusing, kids basically. And yet they still fed him kids. And like, where's the accountability?
There had to be rumors. There had to be. They
had to know.
Yeah.
They had to know.
Cat Williams was talking about it on
exactly.
Yeah, on that podcast.
But like who's feeding him the kids?
Right. Yeah. And what videos do they have of these people where they're willing to defend him and they're willing to keep quiet about all this? Like how many people were compromised?
Yeah.
The whole thing is fucking crazy.
Crazy.
It's just crazy when because the nutty conspiracy theories is like, oh, there's a bunch of pedophiles in Hollywood. And you're like, come on, that sounds too kooky. And then you see like the Nickelodeon thing and all these.
Not long after, people started noticing something strange. Rumors said that whole episode got pulled fast, wiped clean, and buried online like it never existed. That only made folks talk more. Jaguar also brought up a question that's been floating for years. How does Jay-Z sit down with Gayle King on CBS and never get pressed about those long-running whispers and industry links? She didn't hold back either. She used heavy words, calling Diddy and Jay-Z monsters, saying their power has been crushing the industry's backbone for decades. The kind of statement that doesn't just fade away, it echoes.
How does Jay-Z sit down with Gayle King and she not ask him one question about the intersection between him and Aaliyah and Robert Kelly? This is insane that people keep refusing. I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common professionally and privately. Sean Carter. This has been a fist of tyranny that has been punching through. That changes now, Sean. You have no choice. That Dream Hampton was being financed and ran by Sean Carter. They were able to go and get all of these witnesses because he was there with Robert Kelly.
Then there's the Aaliyah theory, the one that just won't die down no matter how many times people try to bury it. Jaguar Wright went way further than anyone else, claiming Jay-Z might have played a part in getting Aaliyah on that plane, saying it was personal and tied to who gained the most after she was gone. None of this has ever been proven, but it keeps coming back again and again because Jay-Z's silence speaks louder than words. Staying quiet online doesn't look neutral, it looks intentional. And here's where things start to twist even harder. When Diddy got hit with charges and those lawsuits started piling up, one name made everyone stop and stare. Alex Spiro. That's Jay-Z's personal lawyer. Reports started spreading that Spiro was suddenly showing up around Diddy's legal circle, and the internet exploded with one obvious question. Why is Jay-Z's attorney popping up in Diddy's mess? The running theory is pretty wild but simple. Control the narrative before it spirals out of control.
Think about this. Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane, to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened, and yet they had to sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know what Diddy.
If Diddy ever really decides to talk, a whole list of powerful people could crash right alongside him. And that's exactly why this whole story keeps looping back to Jay-Z's rise to power. It's like the deeper you dig, the more the same names keep popping up. And you can't even bring up that era without mentioning Big L. Big L was the one who helped open doors for J. L. Leon before the fame, before the billion-dollar image. Now people are wondering, was that connection a blessing or something bigger hiding in plain sight? Big L was the link that connected Jay-Z to Dame Dash, and talks were reportedly heating up for Big L and his crew to lock in some major deals. But then, just days after those negotiations started, Big L was shot and killed in a Harlem drive-by. The case still unsolved to this day. Jaguar Wright has been vocal about it, claiming Big L's death wasn't random at all, but possibly the first in a series of mysterious endings that just happened to clear the path for certain people to rise. Coincidence? Maybe. But once people start matching up the timelines, the whole pattern starts to look a little too neat, and that's what makes everyone uneasy. Now we climb up to level 2, and this is where things stop being about pure fame and start turning into leverage. Oprah Winfrey and Clive Davis are right in the middle of this level. Critics have been pointing at Oprah's old connection to Harvey Weinstein, those pictures, events, and public appearances where she showed support, even when the rumors were already swirling around him. That's where the tension really comes from. Someone with her level of influence could have forced the spotlight on him early, but she didn't. And in this kind of world, silence doesn't look innocent. It looks like protection. Then there's the drama surrounding the school Oprah funded in South Africa, allegations, public backlash, staff being fired, and official statements flying everywhere.
That's suing Tony Busby. Spiro is a partner, and Alex Spiro is Jay-Z's personal lawyer.
Oh, so it's probably Jay-Z then that's doing the suing.
Of course they'd use Kevin's name,
Why
but
do
it
the-
ain't Kevin. Why is Alex Spiro popping up everywhere?
What do you think is going on in Hollywood right now? What are you hearing? Because I'm hearing
Mass panic. Mass
Everyone-
panic.
So because no one's talking publicly.
No, you
But
can't.
behind-
That's why they came up with the story. Well, you know, there's a party inside the Diddy party. And I went to the first party, but I left early. I never made it to Diddy After Dark. There were public relations teams right after Diddy got arrested running around telling everyone to say that.
Of course.
The question is this. If all you went to was the first party and you didn't know anything about the After Dark, why would you say, I left early? Why wouldn't you just say you left when the party ended?
Exactly.
Because how would you know
That
there
the-
was another party
Exactly.
if you weren't informed?
Exactly.
If you went to the Diddy party and nothing happened and it was the first party, your speech wouldn't be, oh, well, I only went to the first party. I
Right.
didn't go to the after party. You wouldn't say that because you wouldn't have known about
Exactly.
it. You would say, I don't know what anybody's talking about. I went to Diddy's party. It was a white party. It was dancing. It was wild. But at the end, we all went home.
Right.
That's not what y'all are saying.
Nope.
You're saying, I didn't go to the second party. I only went to the first. The only thing you're proving is that you're hiding being there.
But even after all that, critics still insist the full story never really lined up. And that's why her name keeps getting dragged back into these conversations. Because when people talk about power, influence, and what the elite didn't see, her silence becomes part of the mystery. Add in the resurfacing photos and all those old rumors spinning back around, and suddenly people start painting Oprah as quiet power, the type that doesn't need viral moments or loud headlines, because one phone call from her can supposedly decide who gets booked, who gets buried, and who gets labeled difficult. That's real behind-the-scenes influence, the kind most people never see coming until it's already too late. Now let's talk about Clive Davis, because Clive isn't just another name in the room. He's a legend in every sense, the architect behind Arista Records, a man who spent decades at the top, shaping the sound of music and building careers for giants. That's exactly why nobody dares treat him like background noise. He's part of the foundation. But Suge Knight has been saying for years that Clive and Diddy's bond went way beyond business. He's claimed that Clive allegedly described their connection as something deeper, something that wasn't about contracts or mentorship. No proof has ever surfaced publicly, but the claim refuses to die because it fits right into the bigger picture everyone's whispering about, the network of silent power that decides what stories rise and which ones disappear. And when reporters tried pressing Clive about Diddy, people swear they saw something off. Shaky smiles, quick deflections, eyes darting away from the camera. Not exactly evidence, but it was enough for fans online to clip the footage, loop it endlessly, and say, "That's it right there, that's the tale." People started saying 50 Cent wasn't just stirring the pot, he was sending a message. Every move, every post felt like it carried hidden meaning. Then out of nowhere, Cat Williams got pulled right back into the mix. He said that 2024 would be the year everything gets exposed, no matter who you are. And the internet didn't take that as comedy. They treated it like a prophecy.
Favorite memory working with Diddy?
You know, personally, I've got to tell you, he really is a major star in this film tonight. He's a spokesman all the way through. I met him before I ever knew of him. I met him when he was 21 years old. And when we met, you know, he played me Craig Mack Flavor in Your Ear. He played me 3 cuts from the forthcoming Notorious B.I.G. album. And we talked for hours and hours about music, and I poured into his dream. And I financed Bad Boy Records. And we had an incredible run, an incredible period.
But things really exploded when Bishop T.D. Jakes got dragged into the Diddy conversation. Reporters asked him about the allegations, and instead of giving a straight-up denial, he said, "Keep it moving." That response alone had people raising eyebrows. Then he added something that made the internet lose it. He said even if it were true, someone could always repent because power can cover sins. And then came the part that shocked everyone. He said he didn't even have to repent for this. That's when everything went nuclear online. To the public, that didn't sound like innocence. It sounded like a slick way to dodge the question. Jaguar Wright jumped in and lit it up even more. She said if Bishop Jakes was ever part of Diddy's inner circle, there could only be 2 motives, money or access. She called those exclusive party spaces leverage zones, claiming they were designed to trap people in compromising situations. According to her, there's supposed to be video and audio floating around, recordings of powerful figures caught doing things they'd never want the world to see, the kind of evidence that could ruin entire legacies overnight. Whether any of this can actually be proven is a whole different question, but once the public starts believing that receipts might exist, the fear isn't about the rumor anymore, it's about the possibility of footage. Jaguar Wright pushed the story even further, saying multiple men have come forward with accounts that in their eyes tie Bishop T.D. Jakes directly to that hidden world. No solid proof has been shown publicly, just claims, whispers, and alleged insider chatter saying that quiet legal moves are already happening behind the scenes. And the reason it keeps spreading is because it fits the same pattern people have been calling out for years. Power protects power until it can't.
I came in this business saying I was going to expose. When I talked about Michael Jackson, when I talked about R. Kelly, they canceled me for these things because why would you talk about another black dude? Race is not where the line is drawn. It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. T.G. Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed.
Then Gene Deal stepped in with his angle, and his words hit heavy. He questioned why a religious leader would even be anywhere near those private parties that people describe as anything but clean. He said it's hard to justify being in that environment unless you're either supporting it or taking part in it. And then he dropped the line that froze the room. He hinted that there might be tapes waiting to surface, and when they do, there won't be any more debates, no more speculation, just truth laid bare. Diddy and T.D. Jakes, those names now hang over the story like a storm cloud. The real threat isn't opinions or gossip anymore, it's the proof that could shatter reputations and expose how deep the game really goes. And when you widen the lens, it becomes clear. This doesn't stop with one person or one industry, it's way bigger than that. When Elon Musk sat down with Joe Rogan, it wasn't just another celebrity chat, it was a deep dive into power networks. They were peeling back layers on why certain high-level names move the way they do. And Elon's framing wasn't about politics, it was about fear. The The fear of being exposed, the fear of what happens when the wrong doors finally swing open. Rogan brought up Reid Hoffman and asked if he ever seemed uneasy, and Elon didn't hesitate. He just said one word: yes. That silence after hit harder than anything. Then they went straight into comparisons, talking about an Epstein-style control model. The idea that once someone's caught in a compromising situation, you don't need to argue with them, you own them. That's the heart of this entire pyramid. It's not built on fame or talent, it's built on control. And once you start seeing it through that lens, everything begins to make sense. Why certain people stay quiet, why certain stories disappear overnight, and why some names stay untouchable no matter how loud the world gets.
This was at a Diddy party. There could only be two reasons: money or sex. That's all that happens at Diddy parties: money and sex.
Cassie has turned over substantial amounts of evidence to the feds. I'm told that after Cassie had a long conversation with Blank, I have to protect this person. They're going through a lot right now. And her lawyers, she finally was convinced to give up the videotapes and audio recordings that contain.
Dave Chappelle said the same thing in his own way, and it hit just as hard. He's described the industry as a trap, not just with contracts, but with invisible chains that lock people in. When fans asked why he didn't just take his show somewhere else, he said it felt like running from one plantation to another. Different master, same chains. That one line still echoes today, because if someone like him, with all his success and leverage, still felt boxed in, what does that say about everyone else just trying to survive inside that machine? Now that the layers are peeled back, the question hanging in the air is simple but chilling. Who's really running the game? Because once you start connecting the dots, it's not just artists and moguls, it's politicians, media giants, and high finance all sitting at the same table, speaking the same quiet language of control. People online are calling it the circle, a web so tight that anyone who steps out of line gets erased faster than they can defend themselves. And the crazy part? Most of it happens in plain sight, masked as business deals, charity galas, or networking events. Insiders claim that every time someone tries to break free, a new scandal suddenly appears to keep them in check. It's like the system knows exactly when to strike. Elon's digital empire through X has become the new battleground, because unlike before, people now can trace who talks to who, when, and why. The fear isn't exposure anymore, it's evidence. Receipts can't be silenced once they hit the feed, and that's what's making the top-level players sweat.
Man, what I think about it is this, when I grew up in the church, the sinners was not supposed to have the same atmosphere with the saints. You have to be able to separate the two. So I'm looking at him as a saint going to a party that ain't nothing but sin. Drinking, maybe fornication, man on man, woman on woman, he on she. But maybe he'd have to lay some hands on somebody. Maybe he'd have to save some souls. I know he got a contract with Revolt, so I'm just like, it's just real strange that he would be found at any kind of Diddy party or any kind of place with Diddy unless it's in a business atmosphere.
And then there's 50 Cent, who's acting like the wild card nobody saw coming. He's been dropping lines that sound harmless until you piece them together. Then they read like warnings. The man's got a knack for saying things that hit twice, once for the fans and once for the people who know exactly what he's talking about. Some say his next move isn't just another documentary, it's the trigger. Because once someone with his reach connects Elon's data with street-level truth, that pyramid everyone's whispering about might finally crumble right before the world's eyes. If that pyramid really starts cracking, the shockwaves won't just hit Hollywood or hip-hop, it'll shake every corner of power. The music world was just the entry point, but once the threads start pulling, names from tech, politics, and high finance begin to slip out too. Suddenly, those same people who built empires off connections are scrambling to protect them. Insiders say that some of the biggest PR firms are already on alert, prepping damage control plans just in case the wrong files leak. The silence from certain public figures right now, that's not peace, it's panic hiding behind expensive smiles. Whispers say encrypted servers are being scrubbed, calls are going dark, and some longtime allies are starting to quietly back away. Everyone's pretending it's business as usual, but behind the curtain, it's chaos. Because once the public realizes how deep these networks run, no brand or image consultant will be able to spin it clean.
Where do you think he was going to these parties? I think that he's going to the Diddy parties, you know, bruh. If he's going, well, we know he's going to the Diddy parties, and I know that it's, I know what usually happens at the Diddy party, or when we told this happened at the Diddy parties. Maybe he needs to see it for himself, man. Maybe he needs to go there and really be involved in some things that could help save some individuals while they go into those parties.
Elon's access to years of private data means he's holding what some are calling the digital Pandora's box. And if that box opens, every hidden deal, every secret DM, every hush-hush message could suddenly be on record. And here's where it gets even wilder. Some say 50's next reveal might drop right as the panic peaks. That would mean full exposure, raw and unfiltered, hitting the internet all at once. The kind of release that doesn't just trend, it changes history. People online are already calling it judgment season, claiming the powerful are finally being forced to face the truth they used to bury others with. Because once the lights come on, nobody, no matter how rich or famous, can hide in the dark anymore.
People have the data, the eyes, and the receipts. The pyramid's shaking, and once it falls, everyone's gonna see what was hiding underneath. Now everything's coming full circle. The walls, the whispers, the hidden power moves, it all leads right here. The truth isn't locked away anymore. It's cracking through the surface like an earthquake shaking the whole system. What started as quiet rumors between insiders has turned into a global conversation, and the names being whispered now, too big to ignore. The masks are slipping, the alliances are showing, and the untouchables are finally realizing that exposure doesn't care about status, it just needs proof. Elon's platform X has become ground zero, and people can feel it. Something massive is about to drop. Screenshots, messages, and files that could rewrite how we see the biggest figures in music, business, and media. And 50 Cent, he's still playing his game like he's 3 moves ahead, posting like a man who already knows what's next. You can almost sense it, the calm before the chaos. This story isn't just about celebrities anymore, it's about control, secrets, and how deep power really runs. The question now is, when the truth finally hits, who's gonna stand tall and who's gonna vanish overnight? Because no amount of fame can shield someone from receipts that live forever on the internet. And that's where we leave it for now. But trust, this isn't the end. The next wave could drop any second, and when it does, you'll want to be right here when it breaks. If you've been following this story, hit that like button, make sure to subscribe, share this with your crew, and drop a comment below. What do you think is really going on behind the scenes? Your voice might just expose the next layer of the truth.